Now my headphones were connected. There we go. Carla. I think you're unmuted, Carla. You were given privileges.
Hi.
There you are. There we go. I didn't even start. I mean, there's about 28 people. Yeah, I think we can get started. Blake, you wanna launch us here? Yeah. Just kind of an overview.
Hi guys, welcome all to the call. We're like super excited you're on. So this is our first weekly call for the month of March. Every Wednesday we're going to do this. We are, just letting people in here. Super excited you guys are here to join. And basically, like our goal with this is to create conversations about creativity within the church, and along with that, like community conversations, and be a resource for one another. I think it's really isolating, when you're just doing the work on your own. And so, really our goal is, I think this is to be as interactive as possible. So as we're going through, feel free to ask questions in the chat throughout. We're going to share a little bit, present a little bit, have some conversation, answer questions. I'm going to throw it back to Johnny and Joe.
Yeah. Remove yourself, Blake.
Can't see everybody, but what's up, guys?
I'm trying to see where we can see everyone, but
that's fine.
Zach Jennings is on. Shout out Zach.
Zach. I'm really happy you guys are all here. Like Blake said, we hope that this is like an ongoing thing. For now, we're like committing to doing the month of March. So we'll do this Wednesday, next Wednesday, and then the following. So it'd be 3 Wednesdays. We've done versions of this before. Like I'm sure Carla and some people on here have like engaged in kind of conversations like this, and they've always been really helpful. Like for us personally, have been really helpful to like hear from people, designers, creatives, like in the space, but also like I think like Blake was saying, building community, but like really just like a connecting point. Like I think it's super important that we can be together on some stuff like this, like not be isolated. We ourselves have like been in that space. Like give you a little bit of background about us, because we haven't, we share stuff, but like I don't think we really have like shared story of like where we come from and like what we've done. So I'd love to do that. I'd love to introduce part of the team as well. And by the team, like I mean like team and friends, like Blake, Joe, Carla, Zach, like people that like we integrate and like engage with on a daily or weekly basis on creative stuff. And so we're gonna
here.
Yeah, we're just gonna give you a little bit of background just so like you guys know, and this is be like a quick like overview about us is new, and then we're gonna jump into like a creative direction kind of conversation that I think is gonna be really helpful. Joe's gonna lead that, and then at the end we'll do like a quick Q&A. So I'll run this like super fast. Basically, go ahead. Sorry. Okay, so basically like started working together as a studio, but in 2020, obviously COVID time. Prior to that, we Joe and I, again, Carla was a part of that. Some other people were part of that, like ran creative direction at Upper Room, and did that for about 6 years. And that's really where we like got our hands like really dirty and like in everything, creative, design, production, live stream, kind of A to Z, as you guys are all probably aware of and probably are doing yourselves at some capacity. And we did that for 6 years. Then we launched the studio in 2020. And then we've done studio work for about 6 years now. In the studio work, agency work, like we worked with some amazing people, some amazing brands, and some really difficult ones as well, right? Like both and that has been a lot of fun. Everything from like artists, like music artists, we love music. And so like we've worked with some like musicians that we really love. And then we've worked with brands in apparel because we love apparel. And then also just like worked with just like some dumb products. We're like, all right, we're going to help products, and you know, and like we've learned through all of it. And so, and I say that because like, I think, you know, we've like, we're always searching for like, who are the people we want to work with? And is there like a common thread between them? Is it apparel, or is it, you know, music? Is it product? Is it tech? Is it church? Right. And that's like it's like an evolving conversation that we always will have. Because I think we can look back and say like, okay, like, why did we work with this product? Why did we work with, beyond just the financial gain? It's like, because sometimes it's not even about that. So anyway, like we've done some other stuff, and then got to this point today where we look back and we're like, man, like through these 6 years, and then the other like 6-7 years working at Upper Room now, like one of the things that really does matter to us is the people that we work with, and like being able to like have conversations like this where we could just talk about like creative stuff, and not in a way, like to us, like it's not in a way that's like, it's not all inspiration necessarily. It's to us like, I don't know, it's like there's partly like support and education that comes just through conversations like this that like we ultimately want to have. We used to do this all the time at our studio in Dallas, and we'd have people over in these conversations. They were really, really helpful, because I think that like the more perspectives you get from people that like you respect and admire and doing cool things, the more you can learn. And so, and I just don't think there's enough communities or like platforms or, I don't know, like conversations like this happening. So that's our intention from this. It's also the intention from like Symphony, and something that like we've wanted to launch and like thought about for a while, just like supporting a lot of you guys and a lot of friends in the space that are like, you know, searching for things like this. So anyway, Joe, I'll kind of hand it over to you so you can go through. I know you're going through all of these slides.
Yeah, I mean, I was going over it as you were talking, things that we worked on, right? Like we started the studio in 2020. In 2017, like I would say our first project that we did together was Hands and Rose. I'm not sure if a lot of people know that, but that's kind of where, like, at least for myself, got like my hands dirty with like marketing and graphic design. So it was really fun. We have this photo of like a portable AC, because at one point this was like a funny project that we did as a studio where we were selling and marketing portable.
Yeah, this was one of those products that is just like, what in the world? As we look back and look at this thing, it's like, oh my God. But yeah,
and learned a lot from it. And you know, how do you sell this in a creative way? And again, here's sort of like some of the things that we were able to launch with Upper Room. From like
going back here.
Okay,
this is actually really helpful. I didn't think that you were gonna add this. Like, we tried so hard to make this product cool, and I just think like, I think it's really helpful to have this kind of understanding that like no matter how much like I don't know, like lipstick and like stuff you add to a product like this, at the end of the day, like it's a I'm not gonna say an ugly product. It just is what it is, and we can't change it. And I think like one of the things like through our history of like working together in creative work is that like I think a creative person will a lot of times get the product finished, and you're told like, hey, you need to now like figure out how to communicate this product. And I think like we've talked about this, like and I'm sure you guys will relate to this, like we like to be in the conversation when the product is being formed, because that gives us the best success and like the highest like probability of success if we can like help form the product as it goes. And by that, it's like, well, are you gonna design this? It's not about designing this physical product necessarily, but it's like it is being a part of like the initial like phase of it. And that is like, now one of the things that we constantly look for is like, can we be a part of like the initial creation of a product?
Yeah.
And by product, I know I keep saying product, but a product ultimately to me is not just like a physical product like this. It could also be a single, right? It could be an album. It could be I don't know, or merch. This is
furniture,
like,
anything.
Exactly, anything. But this was that. Like I learned that through this. I was like, man, like
Christian Salai said, I'd buy it.
No, I mean, it's probably super helpful, but it just was not going to work. Anyway, it's making a lot of money. It's fine. It's not for us.
And this is some of the work that we did at Upper Room that was really interesting. everything from like album art, single art, marketing, activations. This was honestly a really fun era in our time where I think at the time we were, how old were you? I was like 22. You were probably like,
I don't know, 17.
But Johnny was basically a creative director and I was art directing and trying our best to do a different version of like album art in the church world. And this is actually some of my favorite work that we've done together. And then this is some most recent work, I would say, in the last year that we able to like work with apparel brands that we design storefronts for Paris Fashion Week and ideating a lot of this, which hopefully in the next like a couple of weeks doing these calls, we get to like dive into these projects and sort of like the goal is just to share our process because everyone here, I'm sure, works in some sort of sense of on a creative project. And one thing that we've learned as a studio is like being able to process and just riff and conversate about like ideas helps really create like the best product out there. And so this is just like slides showing you our work. I think this is really good, Johnny. You said this earlier. It's like what we're doing here is just an experiment. It's a conversation. There's nothing in us that's saying like we've landed, we've achieved things. We've just been doing this for a very long time, and the highest sort of product that we personally really believe in is relationship and friends and community. Even like Carl is on here. I think Jose Neda is on here, and Zach. I can't really see everybody. I only see like 5 people on here. Micah's on here. I'm trying to see who else. But through that, what's been really fun is those people have been part of our studio, whether in the past or currently. And everyone today is doing something within the creative world, and that makes me really happy and excited. And hopefully we get to have more people like that part of our team. So, anything else here?
I think it's great.
And then we get to talk about my favorite thing, creative direction here.
He's a creative director.
Yeah, because we love titles but this is one of my favorite images that I recently found. I don't know if Eddie's on here. I think Eddie sent me this. It's just a joyful dude showing heart, and this is all that matters. So creative direction. I just want to share with you guys, like, I think it's like 4 of them, sort of 4 principles that I really believe in that have helped me in thinking about creative direction as a whole. Number 1 is work ethic. The idea of work ethic and giving yourself to the work. I believe that everyone on here probably has 100 ideas, and we always have like 100 ideas, but the only way that we've seen these ideas come to life is with work ethic, right? Creating ideas without a work ethic to follow through is inconceivable. Sounds a bit dramatic, right? But I love the feeling of utter depletion. It is an ecstatic sense of having committed myself to the absolute limit. Yeah, my approach here is it sounds extreme, but I do believe that like when I'm working on a project or when anybody is working on a project, my highest belief is thinking, how can I give myself to this project at the highest of my ability, and just working hard like until the project is done, right? Like we worked on Symphony and we worked on it for a couple of days and we sweated every detail. It's like we would spend hours on just the first sentence that we posted. We dropped it, I think a month ago, and it was a website. And we spent hours on that website. But basically here, my goal is just for you guys to know is like work ethic, I think is like the bottom line and the foundation for a lot of creative work. I think you had a little more thoughts here you wanted to share.
Yeah, I mean,
it's dramatic. I know it's dramatic, but
this is also like, this is important to you, right, Joe? And I've seen this be the case for Joe. And it's become a really like foundational part of our team and our studio and the people that we work with, because I do think like the work ethic that you're talking about paired with like a really high level of direction and creative, like makes you a really powerful person. And I think this like work ethic idea in the creative space, like you're able to execute like 10 projects instead of 1. And
yeah,
creative work is, in my opinion, as we were talking about this, it is like maybe you don't launch all this stuff, but like the work ethic is about like seeing as many things, seeing as many PSD files, as many Figma files.
I just think it's worth it.
Lot.
And I think that's worth every idea that everybody on here probably has. Like, I don't know, I'm seeing names like Andrew Gonzalez, Joaquin, Andrew Camp, Josh. Like, I'm sure all of you guys have ideas that you want to see, and sometimes, you know, a lot of us can become idea guys and girls, obviously, but I think we need to move into like people who make these ideas happen, which I think leads me to my second one is my anti-slogan is be careful. You know, presenting this to people makes me feel like it's funny, but in the act of creativity, avoiding risk guarantees sameness and mediocrity, which means your work will be invisible. I'm a huge fan of, you know, as cheesy as it sounds, like breaking the box is like, it's our approach to a lot of these projects, right? Like within the church, it's like, I sometimes feel like we reference other church work and we're like, oh, let's do that, and let's make our album covers look like this, or let's film our live recordings and our live streams, let's make it look like the way this church does it. And it's from a place of, I think, honor and respect. But I'm really curious, and I love to try to like explore outside of the box, and right, like how did like this director film this movie, and how can we do that for our live recording, right? Like, and how can we break the box? And like right here it says, better to be reckless and to be careful. It's better to be bold than safe. Better to have work seen and remembered, or you've struck out. There's no middle ground. How does everything that you guys are working on can it last in the next 5 years, right? Can people remember that album cover? Can people remember that? Can remember you for making that merch design? I don't know, right? Like people have come up to us and like, yo, we loved what you guys did with like the albums of the moments, because it was right. It's significant. Like it was the colors of the rainbow and it meant the promise, right? Things like that I'm proud of. But even to this day, we're working, you know, we just ended a meeting about doing an activation, and it's like constantly scratching our heads of like, but how is this becoming memorable? How is this something that's like, it doesn't feel safe? And it's a difficult and like very nuanced conversation. But again, I think what I would hope that you guys take away from this conversation is like, don't be careful. And of course, there's levels to this thing where if you're working at a church and there's like a leadership component where like, I've gotten in trouble, right? Of course, where it's like, hey, that's way too much. Like that graphic makes no sense, or, you know, that's a little too provocative.
But I think that's also part of the job, right? Like, I think like, as we are all parts of the body, if you will, like, I think that the designer, the creative, the artist, like is the one that paints the picture, is the one that, like, you know, art and culture is always kind of pushed forward a message, and it's not initially like the masses, right? And so I think like if you're not doing that, then I don't know, you're just kind of boring and vanilla, and it's okay to be kind of in that uncomfortability, which is very personal. And I know that like that is sometimes hard for you, Joe, because you do a really good job at that. That may be like you're comfortable living in the, I don't know, this like uncomfortable thing that you're like always wanting to push forward. But I promise you, like 10 years later, I think you'll look back and people around you will thank you for that.
I think you'll be proud. But another like here, like sort of like practical is finding people around you that can like support that like anti-slogan idea of like going crazy, and then being able to like mediate like your idea, right? Where it's like a friend that you can trust and respect that can tell you, hey, that's a really great idea, but it's just not the time for that. And being and like facing that. Which I think that's a conversation for another time. I would say number 3, Iterate. It's one of my favorite ones. I had a friend who was part of a musicians group, and then that musician said, we should be able to build anything in one day. I think there's more context to that, but here's like ideas and immediacy. Again, everybody here, I believe, is creative. I believe everyone is creative, and I think that we're living in a time where, especially like now with AI and like all of that world, ideas are just always brewing. Like there's always a better idea. I think I see you, Zach, and Micah, we've jumped on, and there's always like constant ideas. Like I think, Zach, you did like the set installation at Trinity, which was fire. And now you have another idea of like, how do we go big or go home? My goal with like pairing that ideas with work ethic, another pair that I would love to do this to pair that with is immediacy, is thinking like, okay, if you have an idea, can you release that, you know, to today, tomorrow, this week, in 30 days, 90 days? Like, don't stay with ideas that last like 2 years to launch. I think that if you wait on that. I personally just don't believe you'll have the good product. I also understand like there's even scriptures, right? You wait on the Lord, and there's stuff like that. But this is just within the creative direction that we believe in, that New has been in, is do we have an idea and can we launch by next week? That's always the thing. Like I was jumping with a friend on, and I was going to actually put the screenshot on here that she's working on a idea that she's had for, I think, a couple years now. It's called Coffee Bar. And I thought it was really sick that she like sent me a screenshot that she's like coding it already. And I think that's amazing. She's has an idea and she's iterating it and she's making it happen. And so that's a pretty simple idea there. You have anything on there that you want to say?
No,
Ideas and immediacy.
I think like within creative direction, like this may not necessarily fully be like ship the idea. Like the immediacy thing, I think I've seen it for you. Like it comes by, like finishing. I don't know the design or whatever it may be. It doesn't necessarily mean like fully shipping the product, going to market, like kind of that whole thing. I do think like immediacy is, like finishing the product, like finishing that part of the project. Because I can understand that things can take some more time, but like immediacy is finishing, like getting it done.
Urgency. This next one is my favorite one. And again, just side note here, guys, if you guys have questions, like please think about them. If you want to write them in the chat, please write them in the chat as we're going, because we would love, after this sort of section of like just talk, is to have it open and us to just, again, conversating more than anything. The third one is like a pretty obvious one, and it's funny. A lot of the times when people think of creative direction and they think like, oh, like the font, the color, the feel, and though it probably is, I would say 60% of that. The other 40% I think is just mental and being able to just push. And that's why like the third one is like, don't ever quit. Like I know so many people on here that we've had conversations of people like never believing in their ideas or like shooting down their ideas, or like being considered like those ideas, your ideas or your work or your graphics or your video editing or your website, whatever it is, being like absurd or it doesn't match like either the church that you're working for or with leadership sees it and it's like there's no connection point. My goal here is to, if there's anything you can actually take away from this, is like, don't quit. Because the small difference between the creative and the uncreative person is not that the creative person has different or better thoughts, but the creative person is able to have the capacity to resist the fear of humiliation. There's a pretty big, hefty quote there, but I think it's so true.
Who said that?
I'm not sure. I wish I could quote it, but I've heard it several times. I can tell you who did the second quote, right? With success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is a courage to continue that counts. That was a Winston Churchill.
Nice.
Yeah, but this is just like huge here, right? Like creativity it's a difficult thing to do, right? Like even going through this slide, looking at these images, these images create a feeling in all of us, and it's subjective. We all can be like, this image doesn't connect with what we're talking about, or this image makes me feel negative, and this is supposed to be a positive presentation, right? There's all these conversations that we can have, but my goal at the end of the day, for everybody here, which I believe everybody here is a creative director of some sorts, is that you feel confident in what you do, and you don't ever quit, and keep pushing the ideas that you have, which is very like, what would you describe this as? It's like not technical advice. And next week we're wanting to do a design specific conversation with one of our friends.
Yeah, like you'll deep dive into that.
We'll deep dive into that. But this is genuinely what I believe is like foundational for anybody who wants to step into the creative field, because it's again, I would even say it's like opposite of what I said. I think it's 70% mental and 30% like just doing the work here. So what do you think here? Any other thoughts?
I agree. I'm with you. But again, I think this is like there's different personas, and I think people approach it, differently. And I think like for you, Joe, like this is very much like this is your process, and I think that this is something that like we've kind of as a group and as a team have like adopted, and these are like important parts of how we go about things. And we're not talking fonts, colors necessarily, because I think so much comes down to this thing that we're talking about, this like personal battle, this quitting, this like, one of the thing that you said in the beginning, like not giving up, like that, all these things. I do think they're really vital, especially when you're already in the field.
Exactly. And I think like it's pretty easy to think of a creative project. It's pretty easy to graphic design. There's like, especially now, right? Like there's like YouTube videos, there's AI now that can literally just like mock things for you, and that's fine. So I think that the highest currency right now is sort of this like approach to creativity, and it's like a fervent one, at least, right? Like I'm sure if it was Johnny or Blake or someone else giving this conversation, it'd be different, but I do think that this sort of like philosophy will, I believe, help everyone here achieve what they want to achieve creatively. And I'm laughing because the second one is very similar. It's just love and to value others and help others. Again, there's about 52 people on this call, and I would hope that everyone here feels like encouraged by this conversation more than anything. You can always DM us on the account on New Symphony or New for like more, you know, intricate questions or details, and we'll open it up for Q&A right now. But
what does this mean to you? 100% love.
Yeah, I think like love what you do, value.
Not love yourself. I thought you meant love yourself.
What? I mean,
I really did. I thought like love yourself.
I mean, yes, love yourself, but I think like and value others, help others. I think creativity is so about the people that you're doing it with. I think we were having a conversation like that last night about the most important thing is people around you. Like you're only as good as the people you're doing this product with, right? Like we I think when you saw this slide, where is it? This slide of all these album covers, and there was a lot more that we dropped. But I remember there was like, it was one decision that, you know, Johnny and the team and I made, and we're like, let's just drop a single every week for an entire summer. But the idea that we all kind of were connected on that and like loved each other in that and did it as we did it. Like there was obviously like, there was arguments, there was disagreements, right? Like, why are we doing those colors? Why are you using the photo of Muhammad Ali? Who are these like, you know, people wearing 3D glasses or like stuff like that? Like that was the goal there. And so that's where I mean by like love. It is like at the end of the day, the people that you do it with is the most important. And I read something earlier this week where it was like a lot of people say, oh, the people that I work with just don't get it, right? Like my pastor, my leader, my how do I say this? Like, oh, my peers don't get it. Or like you post something and it doesn't get likes or engagement, like they don't get it. And it's like, no, I think people get it more than we think. And I think understanding that concept is important. And I think that the way to go through that, and I don't know if it's too airy, but I do think is love. And so anything else there?
Johnny, if you correct. No, love. I mean, love is a good one.
Johnny's like,
I generally thought I was like, oh, love yourself.
I do think that the philosophy of love does like push all of everything. So those are the four there. That's pretty much it. The work ethic, right? Giving yourself to the work. The anti-slogan, be careful. Don't do that. Don't be careful. Just break all the rules that you can. Obviously have respect, and there is a level of filtration that you should do. Iterate. Please, if you have an idea, make sure it sees the light of day, like for yourself and honestly for the people around you. Don't quit ever. Just remember that it's not that serious. Don't take yourself that serious, and just keep pushing. And love. I think this is the basis of everything. I think everyone here, we keep pushing for church creativity, and our goal is to be a resource and have a conversation. And I think that scripture is like, love your brothers above all else. And it really is. This is at the end what matters the most, more than like fighting over or arguing or conversating over a font or a color or a stage design or a video edit. This is what matters the most at the end of the day. And so, yeah, that's my TED talk for today.
I think we can kind of go into, we have like, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, 15. So Joe put together that slideshow, and I think there's like a real, like a connecting like through line through all the imagery that he's using in that. And I think one thing that's always been interesting to me about like his creative direction is that like you kind of know when it's Joe, when it's his work. And even looking back at like some of the designs, like whether it's from Upper Room or some other stuff earlier, like you kind of still see that through line through his work. And one of my interests, one of the things I do think about often is like how creative directors, how creative people, especially in the church, but like how you kind of find your own like identity and your own language and your own like visual cue to the work that you're doing, while also kind of competing or like battling the fact that you also just like need to do a job, or like you just need to do the thing for the thing. And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how you do that. What?
A question. It says, how do you push a team to be careful if they may not have had much exposure to art, different art mediums or styles as a creative director of a church team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like the thing that I'm saying, like,
great question, by the way, Sabrina. Love that.
I don't know. Carla was asking some stuff. We can also unmute her, but that challenge, like as a creative person, I think is really important to like figure out and like answer and say like, you know, can I like be committed to my visual like identity and also serve people around me, and can I do both of those really healthy and you know, and be proud of the work that I do after 5 years, 10 years. Like that's super important, and I think like to kind of wrestle with that. Because I personally don't think it's just about one, but I do think like both are super important. And I guess that question is like pointing towards that. We can actually,
yeah, I would say if they may not have had much exposure to art. I mean, if you're the creative director, one of the things that we actually did, and one of the things even before we were at Upper Room, we were at Symphony. Johnny was, I think you were the creative director of YFN, right? At one point.
I don't know.
Something, I don't know how, but him and Joel would do these sort of creative meetings, and it would be like creative exercises together, and the music that they'd be playing. I think Tammy's saying laugh aloud because she's been to those. It was like it was a setting to invite people into creativity, right? Like into like conversations about creativity. Like if you feel like they haven't been exposed, and put it on yourself to expose them to those things. I don't know. At one point, we were doing movie nights at our studio, and we'd play films, and then we would talk about the films the next morning. So I would say sort of things like that. What type of exercises? I would say like writing exercises, right? Like watch a film, write it. Like, you know, it sounds like a school job, but like writing an essay. What is that? What did it mean to you? And I think you start to like explore that muscle, because a lot of the things, like when you make a creative decision, there's intuition and not always follow that, but then there's also like a practical, like, why is that happening? Right? Like, why are you doing that? And being able to answer that, I think, is really important.
I also think like Sabrina, as you're talking about this, like I think that one of the reasons like we emphasize people so much is that, like, I do think that although everyone's like has a creative skill and has a creative intuition, there's people that just have like we should lean on each other, and like I'll be the first to admit, like Joachim is very visual. Like he is that. Like he thinks about visual things. Like he sees visual things. Like he sees a photo and it makes him feel something. It doesn't really do that to me. It's different. And like I see things, I don't know, differently. Like I also think that like aspect of this is like, it's what we emphasize so much on people is like what you know. Like I don't want to force this person necessarily to be like a Joe Awesome and be like a visual person that like sees a photo and engages immediately, but like maybe they have a different skill set, or they like bring something else to the table. And I think like early on, if you could just find out like that thing and like really press on that, and then get around people that are that way, then it could be really good. I think like it's why we've also like, you know, perspective is really important, and different people that have different perspectives.
Yeah.
And not everyone has great perspective. I mean, honestly, I think young people have really great perspective, and because it's fresh, like it's just, it's young. It's like, it's what they care about. I don't know. Like, and it's not that thought through.
Do you want to read this?
Any what?
Oh yeah. Any research in how to creative direct a bilingual prayer room, and how can I serve well the new generation while honoring the old generation? It's a really good question.
Any research on how to direct a bilingual prayer room? Creative direct. Look, like within church stuff, and like when we talk about like prayer room and stuff, like I think it's really important to like define goals. Like what do you like when you even say like how do you like creative direct a prayer room? I think they actually like, I would actually ask the questions first, like, and this is just my approach, like where I go and like say like, what's the goal of like creative directing a prayer room? Is the goal like to have
Should you?
more people come to the prayer room? Is it the goal to have this prayer room look and feel really pretty and really nice?
It's really good.
Is the goal to have your pastor and leadership look at you and say, good job at communicate? Like there's kind of these things, right? Because I just don't think like in general, just like, and I know you're not saying this, but I think this is like a common thing without like asking some of these questions. You're just kind of like, okay, I need to like, I don't know, market the prayer room. And then you're just like marketing the prayer room. And it's like, maybe that's not necessarily the intention for it. And I think like asking some of those questions, if the question is like, how do I get a lot of people in my city to know about my prayer room? That's like that's something to solve,
There's
right?
a problem.
That's a problem to solve. And that's a
So
creative
you're
problem.
saying find a way to like not make it a problem, like solve a problem.
Solve a problem.
That's
what I
creative
think.
direction.
That's what I think this is. Yeah. And again, that may be the problem, or the problem is just like, it's how do I creative direct it? Well, how does it, kind of like what Zach did with Trinity is like that was creative direct. It was really, really beautiful. I don't think his goal was like marketing the thing. It was like making this thing really beautiful. So, and if it is like, I think a common thing that will happen, especially like in any organizations, like how do we get more people to know about the thing that we're doing, which is marketing? It's not really creative work, it's marketing, but it's like, okay, there's a way to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
There's ways to do that. I'm always a fan of just like, I don't know, like there's ways to do that. I think we can go, we'd have to like see what it is, and we're happy to like
please send your ideas on like whether it's email or DM or anything, and we can give.
But I wouldn't look at what other people are doing. I
100%.
would look at it differently. I don't know where you're at. I know you're saying bilingual, but so it's super interesting.
And lean in, like just lean into what your church and your prayer room actually is. Don't try to like change the product. I think it goes back to the conversation about like the AC, portable AC. Like we didn't try to like, it's an ugly thing. We could be like, we should just change the product because it's ugly. And it's like, no, let's just work with what we have.
Yeah, like I think like if you're bilingual, like this is maybe not the right context. I have no idea what this is, but like I don't know if you're part of a prayer room that like a bunch of hermanas go and do like vigilias at night and it's on Friday nights. So like that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like highlight that, talk about that, like show me that. That's unique. Don't like try to make it like,
don't make a live stream out of it and use like a cool video, because it doesn't connect with them, right?
And it's not real. And I think like I could totally see something like that going like but it's not about that, but it's just like but finding the stories, right? Following the through line and like following what that is and like iterating on that.
So good. I'm gonna go to the next question here. It says, what does execution / the process look like for you guys when an idea and concept is fully fleshed out? What is the execution? I'm not sure if I understand that question.
What is it? Read it again.
What is the execution
and the process
look like when the idea and concept is fully fleshed out?
Yeah, basically like your creative process, like from start to finish, basically.
Yeah. What is your creative process?
I think it depends per project, right? Like we're thinking about like an event at this festival, and it's like, okay, I think it's kind of like what Johnny said. It's always just approaching it less creatively, like what is so cool, what is the most beautiful thing, and more like practically of like what problem are we solving, and then we add like how does beauty get thrown in there, right? How does like the moment of like a photographable moment, a photographable shareable moment happens, but it's really like through solving a problem, I would say.
Yeah,
right.
But yes, but I think that the difference then in that becomes, we're just going to open up this whole like conversation, is your reference point. I think it then becomes really important, is that like if you're solving problems, you're like, I think of like a plumber, right? Like goes in and like, oh, this pipe or whatever is broken, we need to solve it. Like that plumber has to have like a really, really like deep history of like knowing how to solve those problems to be able to do it right there and quickly. And I think like a creative process is similar. It's like, okay, what are we trying to do? Whether it's this vigilia thing. And I think like the twist or the thing that makes it different and cool and unique is having a reference point and like a deep archive of referenit's.
And you think reference point visually or like both. The idea of
both. I think both.
Because I think of the vigilia, right? Like the vigilia, let's say like this project of I think it's Ruth, like if there's a prayer room and it's literally like hermanas, and by hermanas it's like my mom, your mom,
Yeah.
like they're praying. I can see it. I like this would be so sick visually for me, is like it's shot on film, like high flash, like film photography, and that's all you're just posting is just like a photo dump of like hermanas just praying really hard, and you see like an older woman like praying, and then they're like hugging, they're like talking about it. For me, right, like what I just described to you is sort of like the creative process of like a visual component, and I could tell you my reference of where I get that from. But is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, that's
like,
exactly. Yeah, because I don't think if you didn't have that reference point, like it, I don't know, it's totally something else. It's maybe just, I don't know. It's totally just like iPhone with something else, and it just like kind of takes it, and it all of it's fine. All of it is fine. It's just about like creative direction is what we're talking about in this.
Carla, what I see you smiling. You have anything else? Do you have any thoughts?
She always has thoughts.
She does, dude. She does.
How do you guys balance trusting your vision, ideas?
You're doing good.
Thank you.
Humility in that, but I don't relate too much on it. Yeah, I mean, Andrew's question I think is great. He says, how do you guys balance trusting your vision / ideas versus asking for critique and feedback from others? There's humility in that, but I don't want to rely too much on the opinion of others, for sure. I mean, Joe, like critique and feedback.
Conviction is really important. I think like
It's tough.
conviction is super important, but also like, especially in client work, you know, there's always a trade-off. It's like asking the questions, like what hills are we trying to die on? And then where are we willing to concede? And there's always a middle ground, but I think it's really important to establish like, okay, what are our main convictions?
Trusting your vision. I mean, if you're like, how do you balance trusting your vision versus asking for others? I think you need to understand who you're asking for critique and right, like feedback. Like, what is it? You don't cast your pearls among swine. That's a crazy scripture, but it is true. Like, I'm not gonna ask somebody that I know I'm not sort of connected with for their feedback. And maybe sometimes yes, right? Where sometimes it's like, just again, it goes back to the product. What product are we working on? Because then it'll allow me to decide and filter who I ask feedback for.
Yeah.
But
I
think
actually have
that-
something to add to that too, because that's
Please.
been, I think, like the most important question always is like, when you receive feedback, I think you have to sit with that person and be like, are we both serving like the vision of what we're trying to accomplish and what this place is trying to accomplish? If you're not like serving the vision and you're serving like your own creative like itch or whatever, I think that's like when you can, I don't know, that's what I have done before, because I will have an idea and I'm like, oh, this is like the best idea ever. But when someone gives me feedback, I'm like, are we serving the vision? And sometimes someone will give me feedback and we'll ask that question, are we serving the vision? And we are. And they just have to eat their feedback. But like most of the time as creatives, I feel like, not most of the times, but sometimes we aren't serving the vision, which is helpful to like going back to like Ruth's thing, like really asking yourself the question from the beginning. And when you do that, usually there is like minor feedback, but if you're both serving the vision already, and if those conversations are had before, I feel like the creative process is like a little bit smoother as you're going in a way.
100.
Yeah.
100p.
Yeah.
So good, Carlos. Last question.
Yeah. How do y'all get inspiration and lean into what God is showing you without being too much
Yeah, it's fine.
like the world? Y'all get inspiration and lean into what God is showing you.
But here's what steps did it take, and how were you able to scale a new studio to what it is now? For example, how were
I
you
think the
able to
God
make-
inspiration thing is really important. I think that's really helpful. I mean, I think those are two different things. Like, I think what God is showing me and individually and is one thing, and then what I'm inspired by is totally different. How do y'all get inspired? So I don't know. They kind of they connect, right? Like, I feel like what God is showing me or what God's talking to me about, or the things that I'm like conversating with God about are one, and like I hear it and I'm engaging, and the inspiration the inspiration comes from a bunch of different things. Like for me personally, inspiration, like I can tell you guys what I'm like inspired by and what I lean into. It has nothing to do with like church or Christianity or like the inspiration is not necessarily that. In fact, I'm inspired by different things, but maybe I'm like reading that differently.
Yeah, I mean, how do y'all get inspired and lean
I just
into
don't
what
think they
God is
connect.
showing you? You don't think they connect? For me, yeah, I kind of understand what you're saying. They don't connect. The first thing that came to my mind was an elder one time told me, she was like, you don't like, it's always a yes until you hear a no, is what I sort of like I heard once, and I kind of like stuck to that. And that for me was like, I mean, I'm in the creative world. That's what I do. It's what I've been doing for like the past 10 years. And so
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just sort of being, there's no delineation there.
Yeah, I guess that's why. It's because he said like without it looking like the world, and I just think like in that there's nothing really like. I mean,
That's like not a true concept almost.
yeah, like I think that like if you look at, you know, I don't know, Baby Keem's recent album, Casino could have been church, and it looks like the world, but it's not. Like and it doesn't matter. I just
think
like,
there's like a deeper
it's-
conversation here. I think from
I think it also is like God is like God, and He's over
Yeah.
everything. That there
Yeah.
is really, I don't think there should be a disconnect.
Yeah.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Like there
that's
shouldn't be a
belief.
disconnect. Period. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is totally valid. Like I understand. I think like the question, but I think that if we can wrestle with that and like be challenged by that idea that like God, you know, like if God's like, oh, like, you know, go and make a movie or something, and
it can either look like the Who Am I movie, or it can look like a beautiful film, right?
yeah, and I think like that's the point. Like I think the point is I don't want to go on the soapbox. It's like the point is that like you're making beautiful things, and beautiful things are beautiful things, not because they're Christian or whatever. It's like it just is beautiful, and there's no delineation. I think those people or whoever is making other things, like they're making a piece of art because it's a piece of art, and
It's art,
and it's art, and it's a movie, and it's a song. So
I would say, Joaquin, like don't like sort of like try to like unpuzzle or like demystify, like don't try to figure out the differences here. It's just genuinely be, and know that like the Lord is with you, and He's like, it is like the scriptures say, like it's a light unto my path. Anything that you do, He is literally there with you.
yeah,
And the ideas that you have are given from God. And whether you're referencing the casino art direction that Baby Kim is doing, and all of a sudden your church conference, right? I don't know, it's called Zeal for my house, or it's just Zeal, and it looks like the rhinestone thing. It's what you were inspired by and you're making, and the Lord is with you. And it's that simple. There's no true like that was for the world, this was for like
Yeah.
that's who you are. We're that connected, and that connection is never really separated.
yeah.
Right. That's pretty
Okay,
You
I think
that's a good question. I wish we could ask
And-
Andrew.
Answer
Over that.
Addie Sanders to end.
Eddie Sanders.
Addie Sanders. That's a good question for
Addie-
freelancers.
Is it? Where is it? The
Where
last
is it?
one?
It was 3:37 p.m.
Read it.
Yeah, I have realized how much team collaboration drives my creativity. In the season where I'm working more independently, how do I push past overthinking and continue creating plus filling a cup without others around me?
I mean, that's what made Symphony, and I hope that this is what this call is that for. Genuinely,
Yeah.
like, and obviously there's like more there. We're running out of time here, but filling a cup around without others around you is that is a loaded question. What do you think there?
I'm working apparently.
How do you push past overthinking? I think past overthinking is just, again, this is where like sort of one of the rules that I have for myself is to iterate. The more you iterate, the more you'll feel confident, and one of those things will do really well. And if it doesn't do well, you will learn from it, and you just keep pushing and keep iterating. That's sort of the way I personally like get past overthinking. I hit send more than I probably should, right? And sometimes people around me are frustrated. It's like, oh, you're doing another idea, or my wife, or even sometimes John. It's like, we need to stop with new ideas, and we just need to be really good at one thing. But it has personally helped me with the overthinking and stuff like that. So, but
Yeah,
also
and
again,
working independently, like I think that could be really hard. But I would just then like encourage you to like look for people. I mean, I think that's like look for people around you. I don't think it has to be another designer or whatever. Like sometimes it is your friend or whatever, and like you bounce ideas off of. I think it's really helpful to like share ideas, share creative work, design, like kind of just bounce off of each other, or do it digitally. Like I think we're doing this now, and I just think it's really helpful. There's something about like sharing an idea with someone and that someone being with you and being like, oh, that's really good, that really like helps. It really helps, right? Like you sharing like, oh, I'm not crazy, and then instead of killing that idea, you then execute it, and that's really helpful. And so we would encourage that more often than not. Be careful with who you're doing it with, because I think if the person shoots them down, then obviously that's not a good person. But like, you know, that's why like longevity of time is helpful with people in relationships, because they can shoot it down, but you know that they come from a good place. So anyway, like get around people. I think a lot of people on this call, we're open, I don't know, through DMs and stuff, like we're happy to like engage. And like you said, like we want to do these. If they're helpful, like let us know, please, like what you guys want to, I don't know, talk through. We'll have one next week, and we're going to like purely like focus on design. I think it'd be really helpful like to go through design, invite your design friends, like specifically like graphic design, and talking about like process. I think there should be like different, here's my design process, like here's what I'm into, like stuff like that. And we'd love to hear about like where you guys are at on that stuff too.
Please DM like feedback. How do you guys thought this call went? We're going to be here, and then we want to stay here for a long time, and we really want like in this space of creativity and art and just encouraging people. So next week will be design. I think I forgot what the other weeks were. So, but anyways, thank you guys everybody for jumping on. You guys have a beautiful day.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Hi, Bernice.
Someone's on?
Bernice is on.
Shit. Probably feeding you. That's all.
Hey, Blake.